From today, we have that special focus on the resumption of universities, including challenges with regards to the registration adequacy of higher institutions of learning in light of the high number of matriculants who obtained bachelor passes, the safety of students and NSFAS debt, and its ability to fund students and deal with the funding backlog. So for more on this, let's first cross to our SABC news reporter, Chriselda Lewis, at Wits in Braamfontein. A very good morning to you, Chriselda. Perhaps talk to us about what we can be expecting today and what it's like there at the moment.
Well, a very good morning to you, Leah. And of course, if we look back to 2024, you had a little over 600,000 matriculants that had passed their exams, and about a little over 300,000 of them, you'd recall, that had obtained those bachelor passes. But if we look at the challenge at this particular point, what we understand is that a little over 200,000 spaces are only available at the 26 of the country's public universities. So the issue of space certainly does remain a challenge. In fact, here at Wits University, I was told by the team here they received about 86,000 applications only for 6,000 spaces that were available. So we do understand that, the sentiment that's being shared by Wits University in terms of space. We've done a number of stories as SABC News where universities are certainly sharing the same sentiments. There is a bit of a struggle, to get space into these universities. There's a conversation that's been had about upscaling TVET colleges to also accommodate those that are not able to get into universities. But without wasting time, I want to bring in Jerome September, who is the Dean of Students here at Wits University. Mr. September, thank you so much for your time. 86,000 applications for 6,000 spaces. This is certainly a challenge that Wits University has had to deal with. How do you sift through so many talented young people in order to fill those 6,000 spaces?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Well, firstly, thank God it's not my decision, right? These are academic decisions based on the academic performances. It does often mean that when someone says, I have straight A's, it's the strength of the A. You end up having to look at, is it 85%, is it 90%, is it 95%? So it's huge competition to get in, and at the end of the day, it is the academic result that will do the final talking for the student.
Yeah. And then, the recurring problem that we've had, last year we've had conversations about NSFAS. Yes. And, the biggest issue I understand is that in terms of registration, a lot of them are not able to register because NSFAS has not paid last year's fees. Is that a challenge that you're also experiencing here at Wits University?
So it was a challenge, yes. But what we've done is to give concessions to that cohort. Okay. So what we've simply done is we looked at the 2024 status. Were they NSFAS funded? Are they likely to be NSFAS funded again this year? And we've then allowed them to proceed with registration. Our challenge is in the missing middle group. Yes. Those are the students that fall just outside of the NSFAS band. There we've got a number of support mechanisms and concessions in place. The first, of course, being you can postpone your first payment. The second one being if you owe less than 10,000 Rand, you are able to register. If you owe more than that, you pay 50% of what you owe, you are then able to register. If you're unable to come up with the 50%, we have a hardship fund that you can apply to for assistance in that regard. So we've got a number of support mechanisms and concessions in place to assist as many students as we possibly can.
Yeah, and just very quickly, we're running out of time. I know I'm going to get into trouble with the studio. In the past, we've seen a lot of unrest also take place over the issue relating to the missing middle. Have you had discussions with the Wits SRC to see how many students you're able to help? What are the challenges that you are experiencing so that you're also able to, establish where the university would be able to come in and assist to avoid what we've seen in the past?
So we've been in conversation with the SRC since around November, December. Many of these concessions are also as a result of their activism. What we do have is a good working relationship. They, of course, have a fundraising campaign, which we are supporting fully. And we hope that through our efforts and supporting their efforts, that we will be able to assist as many students as we possibly can.
Mr. Jerome September, thank you very much indeed for your time. We do appreciate it, who is the Dean of Students here at Wits University. Would have loved to continue the conversation much longer, but of course our special broadcast takes you to a number of universities around the country. And certainly I think the sentiments that have been shared here, Leanne, about the work that has been put in to ensure. In fact, behind me, you would see there's some first-year students that are gathered behind me. For the past 2 weeks, there's been an orientation program that has been underway here at Wits University, just to ensure that these young people from many parts around the country are orientated and adjusting, to this new life that they will begin in terms of their studies. So Wits University, together with the SRC and a number of other individuals within the tertiary institution, are looking to find ways to ensure that everyone does get settled. But certainly space does remain a problem. I'm sure my colleague Hasina Gori at the University of Johannesburg will certainly tell you the same.
Yeah, no doubt, Chriselda, that being probably the main theme of these going to varsity and the opening of varsity as we follow this. But Hasina Gori, as you mentioned, Chriselda, is not too far away from you at the University of Johannesburg, also around the Auckland Park area where we're broadcasting from. Hasina, what's it like there? I mean, it was good to get an understanding from Chriselda, but perhaps tell us what's going on at UJ.
The University of Johannesburg is one of the 26 universities that over 600,000 matriculants who just made that historic pass rate are now trying to vie for a seat in a lecture room. And like Chriselda at the University of Witwatersrand, which is just down the road from where we are, similar kind of sentiments here. There is only 10,000 seats available at the specific university, and for those first years, they've seen over 300,000 applications that have come through. And because people that are applying for 2 different courses, that's almost 700,000 applications for just 10,000 seats. So we're going to look into some of the issues that are here, but also some of the alternatives for those that do not make it through the traditional university forums and into that specific track, that looking at some of the alternatives that they can look at, but also given the youth unemployment rate in the country, one of the highest that we have at almost 45%, and looking at statistics that those that do not get a tertiary education are 35% more likely to not get employment. We want to look at what can university students do to ensure that they're employable, what can universities do better, what can the private sector bring in. We're going to be speaking to a variety of different people through the course of today, hopefully starting with the registrar as well as the Vice Chancellor of UJ later this morning, but also bringing in a NGO called Youth Capital that works specifically on mitigation of unemployment, to see how we can bridge the gap between unemployment, between the education sector, but also looking at the issue of funding as well. Like at Wits, UJ has a similar issue of those that are NSFAS not getting funding, having a backlog of funding, unable to register. But the scenes right now here, unlike the rest of the week where we saw people queuing outside of the universities, quite quiet this morning at this stage. We've told that most of the registration here can be done online, so no walk-ins, and that the process has not yet started with welcome in that first year students. They're going to start coming in from next week, so the 10,000 will be welcomed in. But for now, Leanne, quite quiet scenes. We'll continue to bring you this conversation, speaking with those newsmakers and those that can give us more insight. But for now, back to you in studio.
All right, thanks so much, Hasina Gori, and very close to us there at the University of Johannesburg, and also Chriselda Lewis at Wits University up in Braamfontein.